Short track specialists from 16 states and Canada have gathered in Toledo, Ohio on a beautiful Sunday afternoon for 200 laps of side-by-side fun. Today, it's race number 6 in the chase for the 2015 championship. The ARCA Racing Series is live on CBS Sports Network, and it's coming your way next. Sports Spectacular. It's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Live from the Toledo Speedway in the Glass City, welcome to the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge presented by Hers. Hi everyone, I'm Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado. The two of us have been coming to the Toledo Speedway for over 20 years. Kristen Beat, the newest member to our broadcast, will be making her debut. But when we come to this track, Jim, there's a lot going on, and in 2015, 3 things to watch: a national championship, the short track challenge, and a couple of young drivers making their debut.
We're 5 races into the 20-race schedule, but more importantly, this short track represents one of the 11 in a short track championship within the season. Also, you mentioned famous last names right racing ARCA. How about Matt Wallace, 19-year-old son of Mike Wallace? He's in the field today, as is 15-year-young Todd Gilliland, making his debut here in the series just 2 days after his 15th birthday.
I can't imagine being 15 and going up against this field, and he'll have some challenges today. How about Ken Schrader, a 5-time winner here at the Toledo Speedway, and Frank Kimmel, 9-time winner and 10-time champion. He's standing by with Kristen.
Thanks, guys. I am standing by with the Joe DiMaggio of the ARCA Racing Series, Frank Kimmel. You've had a lot of home runs in your career, but especially here at Toledo Motor Speedway. What is the secret to winning here?
Well, I don't know. I think it's been like 10 years since I've won here, so we'll see what it takes. These young kids are getting tougher and tougher, and this is such a great racetrack. It's the right size, half mile, but yet a lot of speed, but yet not enough speed to where we can't race and beat and bang and do all those things we love to do on a short track. So, it's just great to be back here, and hopefully we can remember how to do it again and put this thing in victory lane.
Frank Kimmel starting 6th tonight. Hey, Ray, how's the view up there?
Well, it's a little bit breezy, but when we come back, we're going to hear from the guy who will lead them to the green. That's Grant Enfinger. The Menards 200 coming your way after these messages.
CBS Sports Spectacular Motorsports is being brought to you by the General Insurance. Get an anonymous free car insurance quote now. ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Calypso Lemonades, proud sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Real lemons, real sugar, real lemonade. Calypso Lemonades. By Hers, presenting sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Hers, live life with flavor. And by Scott Rags in a Box. Save big money at Menards on Scott Rags the whole month of June.
Getting ready to go with race number 6 of 2015 for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. It's a Menards 200 today here at the Toledo Speedway. It's a 2-day show. Yesterday the teams rolled in. We had a quick spotty shower, and then they decided to go have a nice practice, and they also did qualifying. Well, the Menards Pole Award presented by Ansel went to Grant Enfinger. It was his 3rd pole of his career. He had a really good lap rolling through turns 3 and 4. Didn't hardly even get off the gas in his Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. So he got that award, and a few minutes ago, Kristen Beat caught up with our fast qualifier.
In 2014, he won 6 races, yet lost the championship to Mason Mitchell, who only won once. Today, I'm standing by with Grant Enfinger, our pole sitter for today's race. Grant, what are you doing to ensure the consistency needed to maintain your points lead?
We got the mindset of coming out here and winning races, but obviously our first priority is this championship. So Mari Gallagher, Spencer Gallagher, Mike Beam, everybody at GMS Racing has given me a really, really good opportunity to go out there and bring home this championship. So we're not going to do anything that gets in the way of that. We had a rough last couple of races, just kind of victim of circumstances. A little bit of that was, but we've had good speed all year. We continue to show that this weekend, so hopefully we can do what it takes and come out here with another win, and the points will take care of themselves.
Grant Enfinger leading the points by 105 in the championship standings. Back to you guys.
Jim, what an unbelievable season it's been for Grant Enfinger. For the second consecutive year, he comes out of the box and picks up 3 wins to start the year.
And this series has been around a long time. He's the only driver in ARCA Series history to start the season, two straight seasons with 3 victories to start the year. He's had a hiccup the last 2 races, though. That's how the field is closed in upon that 105-point gap.
You look at this, a 20-race schedule, but boy, the unbelievable number of races that they do in the different kind of tracks, from super speedways all the way to Springfield and DuQuoin on those mile dirts. But the heart of this whole thing has been on short tracks through the history of the division.
And the great thing is, with the new Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge, these drivers get a chance in this field today to run for a championship within. We've been to Daytona, we've been to Talladega, but we've run 3 short track races as well.
We mentioned that Grant Enfinger started off the season great. That's certainly why he's at the top of the points. Ken Schrader becomes the oldest winner in the series at 59 years old. He wins at Salem, and then surprise win by Blake Jones on the very last lap. Tommy Hessert ran out of fuel. We thought he had that one in the bag at Talladega.
And we talk about the young talent in this series. Blake Jones, just 18 years of age, sharing that number 22 machine we'll see today, driven by 17-year-old Kyle Weatherman. He'll be a front row starter. That team has something going here this year with Cunningham Motorsports, and they're now affiliation with the Fords and Roush Fenway Racing.
And we mentioned at the top of the show the young drivers in this field, but especially 2 of them that are making their debut, Matt Wallace and also David Gilliland. Todd Gilliland.
David's here. I saw him yesterday morning. He got here, grabbed a headset. Practice was delayed slightly by the rain. I said, I'll talk to you after the kid gets some laps. I saw him after qualifying. David, you couldn't tell if he was on fire or if the car was as fast as a speeding bullet. He's like, yeah, the kid's doing good. Todd gets out of the car, now taller than Dad. And wouldn't you know, he put the car fastest in practice and on the grid in a solid spot.
He's 5th on the starting grid today, just 2 days after his 15th birthday. That's pretty amazing. But we've got a great field here today, and we're going to get them rolling here shortly. So let's get ready to go down trackside. We're ready for the pre-race ceremonies. We'll go to the ARCA Public Relations Director. Here is Don Radebaugh.
For the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for the 74th running of the Menards 200 presented by Federated Car Care, our Grand Marshal, General Manager, Menards Holiday City Distribution Center, Ron Wright.
Drivers, start your engines.
With the Menards 200 coming your way here shortly, and we will introduce you to the starting lineup when we come back to the Toledo Speedway. Cars are on the racetrack behind the pace car here at the Toledo Speedway, getting ready to go racing for event number 6 of 2015. It has been a little cloudy here this morning. You saw it was a bit windy when we were up on top of the control tower. So the weather today, there's a slight chance of showers this afternoon, only at about 25%. Real light wind at 9 miles an hour. So real warm, Jim. So this is going to be a slippery racetrack, no question about it.
And it's been one of those weekends where there's showers in the area, but we haven't had that effect on us yet today, and the fans are getting on their feet, Ray.
All right, let's take a look at today's starting grid presented by Calypso Lemonades. Grant Enfinger on the pole in his Chevrolet. He won the first 3 races of last year and this year. Right beside him, Kyle Weatherman in a Ford. He had the pole at Nashville, finished 2nd at Salem. Tommy Hessert, 5-time winner, but we talked about his disappointment at Talladega. Right beside him on row number 2, Michael Lira. He'll be making his 18th start. Todd Gilliland, the youngster, a 3rd-generation driver, and Frank Kimmel rolls off 6th.
And Josh Williams comes into this series 3rd in the point standings, his best run this year, 3rd on the short track in Mobile, Alabama. Schrader, what can you say? He's won 1 out of 4 times here at the Toledo Speedway. Schrader, again, 5-time winner here, and he's looking for another run here today. We also have Bo Lamastus in the field as well in the Crosley Dodge. I'm looking forward to seeing how he runs. Greatly improved on the short tracks as well. And Chris Bailey also making a start in the Kimmel Racing Ford.
We saw Rick Clifton in the number 48. He's subbing for Brad Smith, who was injured at Talladega. Brad is out of the hospital and watching our broadcast today. Taking a look at our inboards, we've got the Crosley Dodge, as you said, of Bo Lamastus, and this guy has been learning a lot, no question about it, and he'll be trying to follow behind the heels of Ken Schrader. He's in that Federated Auto Parts race car, and when we come to Toledo, you're never going to count out Kenny Schrader.
Schrader's led a ton of laps here. He was a little miffed in qualifying. He said, I think I'm about a 10th off of where I need to be. So we'll see how this brand new composite body, first time for Schrader in this car this year with that new body on it, that Toyota livery. We'll see how he does from 10th starting spot in that number 52.
Federated on the side of that car, but we want to thank Crosley Engineering, who's sponsoring both of our in-cars today. We looked out that window of Ken Schrader as they came down the front straightaway. You saw a little bit of cloud cover over in turn number 1, but we are hoping that the rain will stay away. We've got a small cell just to the west of here, just a slight chance of spotty showers this afternoon. You see the lights are out on the pace car as they roll through turns 1 and 2.
16-second laps. They're going to click them off quick here.
No question about it. And we set a real fast qualifying time by Grant Enfinger, over 113 miles an hour as he put his Allegiant Travel Chevrolet on the pole. Enfinger, our point leader, a great position to start. He is going through turns 3 and 4 right now on the outside. Kyle Weatherman in the number 22 for the Cunningham team, and they will come out of turn number 4. The field is bunching up. They get tighter down the front straightaway, and the green flag is in the air. Real nice move by Tom Hessert on the start. He got by the number 22 of Kyle Weatherman, so he moves in to second position. On board right now with Bo Lamastis. Heavy traffic down the front straightaway.
Bo lost a couple of spots, but keep in mind, he's just learning these short tracks, just his second full season attempt here. And on short tracks, he's all about getting these finishes down. He's had some issues in the past.
We see Schrader now going to the outside of Josh Williams in that number 6. Schrader can work the high side here in Toledo. We saw him do it a year ago where he was able to go high, middle, or to the bottom. And from his Crosley on board, we see he has now got about a car length and a half between he and Josh Williams, but they're side by side right behind him.
Great battle here. We see Brian Finney, the number 68 machine, also getting in the mix here. He's a veteran driver, 3rd start of the season, all on the short track, so he's perhaps going after the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge Championship here in the number 68 machine.
Austin Wayne Self in that number 98, he'll get by him. Self, another one of those guys who really wants to be in the mix of the championship this year. He had trouble at Talladega also, so he lost some points for sure.
Back up front, we see the 23, Grant Enfinger. He had a great run here at Toledo. He's said that for a long time. He has yet to win here, though. It's important for this young man. He said, Toledo's a great track. I need to bag a victory here, especially after that big crash at Talladega. He lost a ton of points a race ago.
And how about this? Lap 6 of the race, and he is already in some lap traffic. So no doubt about it, the guys that are up front here are going to have to keep their eye on that lap traffic and work it throughout the course of the day. Enfinger now with about a car length and a half over the number 77 of Tom Hessert.
Enfinger's clicking it off here. This is the first time he's raced the composite body. It's a 12-panel composite body shaped off the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Gen 6 body. It's new to ARCA this year. It can be run at every track under a mile or less, and they are really putting it to the test. Enfinger tested here a week ago. He said, I love it. It's really not that different than my steel-bodied race car.
Jeff Bodine is at the race today. He has been helping Bo Lamastis. We're on board with Bo. You see he's got heavy traffic in front of him. And Jeff has talked to him about pacing himself and learning to run a 200-lap race. You know, Bo's been racing at the Nashville Speedway, but those are short races. Those are 40 or 50 laps. To do 200, a completely different deal.
Tight quarters here. We saw off the base was the number 58 Ford. Michael Lira up in the top 10 in point standings is also off the pace. So as it tightly bumps up, things are starting to change. This short track taking its toll early here.
A big question today will be how many times do you go to the pit area? Many of the teams said for sure they can make this on one pit stop as far as fuel goes, but you've got 6 tires in the pit, so how are you going to manage those? Will you come in and do 2? Save your 4 for later? We'll have that all play out throughout the course of the afternoon.
Mother Nature might also play a factor in this too, Ray, when it comes to pit or not pit.
Absolutely. There is Frank Kimmel in the number 25. We talked about Kimmel's heritage in this series, an 80-time winner, 10-time champion. But when it comes to the Toledo Speedway, this guy really knows how to run 200 laps here and how to manage his tires. He's a 9-time winner here at this half-mile racetrack.
And when it comes to Toledo Speedway, Frank Kimmel has raced here 36 times. He's won 9 of them. That's 1 in 4 races. Schrader's success ratio, 5 wins and 14 starts. These guys know how to get around this half mile.
I was here in 1994 when he got his first career win, and that was a lot of fun. Boy, has he racked up a bunch since then. Let's go down trackside and get an update on the number 77 from Kristen.
Thanks, Ray. I got the confirmed pit strategy from Chad Bryant, who's the crew chief for Tom Hessert. He told me that anything after 50 laps, they'll only be taking 2 tires. Anything after 130, they're going to go ahead and take 4 tires because they want tires at the end of this race. New tires means you go fast, and that's the advice that Chad Bryant gave to Tom Hessert, and that's the strategy they're going to try to stick to, weather pending. Back to you guys.
So not only could the weather play a factor here today of what your pit strategy is, but also whether or not we get a lot of yellows. This field is stretched out a little bit. There's a lot of side-by-side racing going on, but still so far no caution here at the Toledo Speedway. Going to take a quick time out. You're watching the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards right here on CBS Sports. Welcome back. Speed is patrolling the pits. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado, and I'll tell you what, I need to take my cell phone and get a whole completely different app, because when I look at the radar, it doesn't see anything. For the first time here at Toledo, as we've had a light sprinkle in the racetrack. Pits are open. The green flag is being. Obviously, no one wants to come in 20 laps into this race, but there was just enough of a sprinkle that many drivers on the radio here. Well, if you're sitting at home and you're ready for some ARCA racing, you probably said, what in the world happened? Well, we had some sunspots, and that took our satellite signal out, so we lost that. And then while we were away, the rain shower hit us here at the Toledo Speedway. So the trucks are out on the track drying, and we expect to go back racing in not too long here for the Menards 200. So we'll hope you'll come back with us. Right now, we'll get back to Player Style Files right here on CBS Sports. Shortly after 2 p.m., we went green with today's Menards 200 from the Toledo Speedway. Then we lost our satellite signal, and moments later, a major rainstorm hit. But the sun is out right now here in Toledo, and track drying continues. We're looking like we're going to be ready to go racing here shortly, so we expect to be back for more ARCA competition coming up right about 3:15. We'll go back to Player Style Files in between now and then. Welcome back to the Toledo Speedway. You are watching the Calypso Lemonades ARCA Short Track Challenge presented by Hers on CBS Sports Network. Today, here at the Toledo Speedway, Mother Nature has given us a little bit of a wrinkle. We got 20 laps in, it looked clean and green, and then all of a sudden, a quick rain shower hit us here, and it really popped up out of the blue, but it came down pretty hard. We completely lost the racetrack here, but the track crew has done a wonderful job of getting it back ready to go. A number of the fans were taking cover, but they are back into the grandstands now, and it looks like we have got sunshine and clear skies to the west. So we are ready to go back to racing. They're going to fire the engines here on the cars in just a minute, but we have seen a few drivers go to the pit area. So let's get an update on what has been happening with Kristen B.
Thanks, Ray. I'm a little bit rain-soaked, but I'm down here near Pit Road. Michael Lira in that 58 car. They're trying to make some electrical repairs. All of a sudden, Michael Lira felt the electricity go out in the car. They pulled the car down Pit Road. They're trying to make the adjustments. He told me he's incredibly disappointed, but when they go back to green, he's going to try to get the car back out on track, finish this race, and salvage the points. Back to you.
Well, thanks. You know, Chris, he has had a couple of really good runs when we were on the short tracks. An 8th at Mobile, 9th at Nashville, and 11th at Salem. So he has been in the thick of the things. But right now, Jim, he's 20-some laps down, so they've got to get back in here.
Indeed, and that team is a full-time effort. Mike Lira, just 17 years of age, can only run on the short tracks at Kentucky and Pocono. He cannot run on some super speedways, so he can't run the full season. So all the better to have a great finish here as he's chasing that Calypso Lemonades Short Track Challenge Championship. Number of teams as well here at the racetrack, working full-time, different drivers in the cars. Ken Schrader, for example, he's had Matt Tift in the car, Clay Campbell in the car, but they're running a full-time campaign this year to win the Owners' Championship.
We had about 47 minutes of a red flag here at the Toledo Speedway, but drivers have been called back to their race cars, and the pace car is getting ready to roll them off of the infield here. And as I said, they did a miraculous job of getting this racetrack back under control. A few of the pit stalls are still slightly damp, but we will definitely get back to racing here very quickly, and you know, they will go down pit road sometime, but hopefully that'll be another half hour from now and they'll all be ready.
And if there was any rubber in the racetrack, it's gone. There's that much water, enough to wash it away. So this is really important. These teams have not been in this condition before. It did have a light rain last night after qualifying, but we had a full session, then a 50-lap ARCA truck race, all Hoosier tire shod. So this will be kind of starting over, if you will, once we get back to green.
We documented the fact that Michael Lira has gone to the pit area. He started 4th today, but when we look up at the front of the action, really pretty much the way we started. Grant Enfinger led us from the pole today in his Allegiant Airlines Chevrolet. That 23 has been very, very fast all season. The driver who picked up the first 3 wins of the season. We also had a young lady go to the pit area a little while ago. That was Sarah Cornett Ching. How about an update from her? Kristen?
You're doing that. Thanks, guys. During that first segment, Sarah Cornett Ching complained of the car being way too loose. The team had nothing to lose, so they pulled it down pit road, went with tire pressure and a chassis adjustment. Sarah leaves the series in laps completed. She told me that they figured, hey, I've got nothing to lose. We're going to go down, make a few adjustments, and try to see if we can save some spots out there when we get back out on track. Back to you.
And that could change their strategy for later in the race. Having made an adjustment early on, it may change you to a 1 pit stop instead of making 2.
And the changes she made are very critical because she knew she had that issue. So now guess what? She has a full run here while the other teams are battling with, boy, that car didn't work like it did before the rain. Now I've got to do a lot of changes. So it could help her gain major track position if indeed some others decide to pit.
Young Kyle Weatherman from Wentzville, Missouri. He rolled off 2nd today in the Cunningham Motorsports Ford. And the ARCA officials have just told us these laps are being counted. As I said, we had 21 green flag laps in before we had the rain come, and then we went to a red flag at lap 25. Hey, Ken Schrader is going to the pit area right now in his Federated Auto Parts Toyota. We'll keep an eye on that, see if they're going to make some adjustments for Kenny Schrader before we go back to green. He is going to give up a good qualifying spot, but he's going to make adjustments early on here in the race. Schrader goes to his pit area here, and at the ARCA pit area, you roll off right at the entrance to turn number 4 and go around to the middle of the backstretch. Looks like they're taking some tape off of the front of the nose of that race car, of his Camry. No tires. And you can see the pit area is slightly damp still here, but Schrader will rejoin the back of the field. Must have been running a little bit hot, Jim.
And when that happens, again, under that long delay, anything can, and maybe you saw some temperature climbing in the car under green. So Kenny Schrader knows a lot about this racetrack. And he also knows how to save his tires. That's going to be a critical component for the entire 200-lap duration. Once we get back green, I think Schrader will be fun to watch with that Crosley Brands in-car camera as well.
Qualified 10th today, but by going to the pits, he will be near the back of the field as we get ready to go. Let's go back down pit area. Kristen, what'd they do on the 52?
Thanks, Ray. They actually had to make a chassis adjustment. He said the car was a little bit too loose, and during that break, I went over and talked to Ken Schrader. He said the car just wasn't running good. It hasn't qualified well for him and for his performance at this track traditionally. He just wasn't happy with it, so they went ahead, took it down pit road, made a few adjustments, and they're heading back out. Back to you.
Thank you. And you see Schrader going around some of the cars at the back of the field. A number of the drivers who are already a lap down have waved him by, so he will restart. Looks right now that he will be behind Bo Lamastus, or maybe go around that number 42 to rejoin the back of the field right by Sarah Cornett Ching. So he will get to go by 5 or 6 cars as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here. Sun completely engulfing this racetrack right now. And Jim, let's see if we can talk to the guy who set fast qualifying time here at Toledo.
Well, thanks to Racing Electronics, we have a chance to check in the car of our race leader, Grant Enfinger. Grant, how is the track looking now from your perspective?
It's not bad. It's definitely dried off really quickly here. There's still some whippers we got to worry about right here with my left side tires. It's a little damp right here on the entry to 3 here. So I think it's 10, 15 more laps of this, and I think we'll be ready to go back racing.
These laps are counting, but more importantly, what did you and your crew chief, Kelly Kowski, have a chance to discuss under the red flag for those first runs there? What do you think the car is doing now, and what will you want to change when you pit?
Honestly, I feel like we got a really, really fast race car. So everybody at GMS Racing did a good job building this thing. This is a brand new car for us. So I can't say thanks enough to Mari Gallagher, Spencer Gallagher, Mike Beam, everybody at GMS that gave us this car. It's a rocket ship.
Hey, before we turn you loose here, as we're continuing to circle this Toledo Speedway under caution, as you're behind the wheel, now you've got a chance to tighten those belts again. Tell the audience how important it is for you to get a win here at Toledo Speedway. You've been trying for a long time.
I tell you what, yeah, I don't know if I think this is about our 4th or 5th time here. We've had some really, really fast cars. Even with Kelly Kowski and Algar Motorsports back in 2011, I really feel like I'll let one get away from us here. So this is a track I really, really love. It meant a lot to us to do it here. So we got a lot of supporters here with us, and man, hopefully we can get it done.
Grant, we'll let you get back to work here. We appreciate your time here.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, they're giving us the signal that there are 2 laps to go as we get ready to go back for racing today in the Menards 200 presented by Federated Car Care. And that was cool listening into the number 23. The Scott Brands Towels sponsors our Rookie Spotlight, and it's always fun to check out on some young drivers. How about these two, Matt Wallace and Todd Gilliland, making their first career start in the ARCA Racing Series. Gilliland turned 15 just 2 days ago. A couple of well-known names from NASCAR racing, and those 2 young men hoping to learn a lot today here at Toledo. And again, as we heard, they've all said, let's complete 200 laps, and that's the only way we can learn.
And Matt Wallace had just a couple of weeks to prepare for this. He's been racing in the late models under his dad's banner, but doing a lot of work himself. His dad, Mike Wallace, is here. We know that he's doing better. He had triple bypass surgery just 3 weeks ago. Mike's here watching his son from the spotter stand. Also, Todd Gilliland, his dad, made the trip from Charlotte on Saturday morning, excuse me. He's watching his son restart this race in that white number 55 from 4th.
Second row for Gilliland. He's driving for Venturini Motorsports in that number 55. They've had a lot of success here at this racetrack. And talking to Wallace, you know, he said, really for me it's about a learning experience. He said, I've just got to try to get approval to make opportunities to race in other divisions. For Gilliland, he said, I'm here to win. That's all there is to it.
That kid's been doing a lot of that. He jumped in a late model for the first time at age 14. He's been winning races since, and yeah, he's turned 15 on Friday. So this young man certainly getting the chance here. I asked about the differences. He said, my late model is 3,100 pounds. This car doesn't feel that much different. He's adapted well.
Kenny Schrader has gone to the pit area to make an adjustment on his race car. They cleared some tape off of the front of the nose. He'll restart today in 16th position. Going to be fun to try to watch him work his way back through the field. Grant Enfinger has led every lap so far today in that Allegiant Travel number 23. He's on the inside row. Kyle Weatherman to the outside. Hesser behind him with Gilliland. And Frank Kimmel tucked in close behind with Bubba Pollard on the outside. Here they go, back to green flag racing. The fans on their feet here at Toledo Speedway. Will they need to tiptoe through those corners the first couple of laps, or will they be full throttle? Here comes Enfinger. He's been able to make the move. 22 ducks in behind him. They go single file, but still side by side right behind them.
One thing we do know about Toledo Speedway, it's not forgiving. In turns 3 and 4, you'll see there's no apron. So if these cars do get below that white line ever so slightly, there's a lot of grass there that's really wet from that rain. So these drivers dance that line to get the fastest run. Sometimes it's below the yellow line, white line, excuse me, off of turn 4.
And it rained hard here yesterday morning at the Toledo Speedway before we got our first round of practice in. That's why you see some standing water in the infield. We take a look here at Schrader now making his way through the field. You gotta believe he's gonna be methodical about this because they did not change tires. Here's a look at Schrader. He goes to the outside of number 59 of David Levine from Highland Park, Illinois. And Schrader comes down that front straightaway, keeps it in the throttle, and he's able to make that pass.
Really smart move there. Veteran move to right. Stay right tight to the other Ford there in the picture there, the 59 of David Levine. That's a Toyota that Schrader's driving here for the first time in the composite body configuration. Good battle for second right now. Here's Tom Hessert in that number 77 trying to put some pressure on Kyle Weatherman. Hessert has had the front bumper right up to the back of that number 22. 55 of Gilliland kind of watching them, stepping back maybe a car length or two to see how it goes. Kyle Weatherman in the number 22 machine again. A part-time season this year, up to 10 races he'd like to do for this Cunningham Motorsports team. He was signed by Roush Fenway Racing before this season started. Made the move after Daytona over to the Cunningham Motorsports team. He's working on these race cars, helping with the interior and seat installs, helping drop motors in at the shop, in between working out and doing the pit stop car for Roush Fenway on their cup practices. I mean, here's a kid who won a couple of IMCA races at age 13. And has over 190 wins, but we have got our eye on that number 52 Federated Toyota.
Kenny Schrader's Camry is picking through the field, so he's restarted 16th, but heading towards the front. We have not had tire changes yet here at the Toledo Speedway. 40 laps are complete in the Menards 200. You're watching the ARCA Racing right here on the CBS Sports Network.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Ansel. Ansel Protects. By Crosley Brands. Vintage-inspired electronics and stylish home furnishings. From yesterday, today, and tomorrow. CrosleyBrands.com. And by the General Insurance. Get an anonymous free car insurance quote now.
Great racing all around the Toledo Speedway. We've got side-by-side action going. Grant Enfinger got the pole today, and he was out front for 46 laps, but Kyle Weatherman has made a pass there. We want to take a look back and show you what's happening. There is some lap traffic ahead of Grant Enfinger. They come out of turn number 4. He goes down to the inside to try to get the position on the lap cars, and look at this. Weatherman says, I like the high side. The Cunningham Motorsports number 22 goes around that 03 of Kevin Rutherford, and they are able to take the lead away from Grant Enfinger. Still a very, very close battle, but put Weatherman to the front of the field here at Toledo.
Tight traffic on this high banked half mile helped out Weatherman, but he has not lost Grant Enfinger. They're nose to tail down the backstretch now. Weatherman, at just 17 years of age, has had experience here at Toledo Speedway. We mentioned he's run some short track races, 3 top 5s in 3 races this year, but now he is in the position of where do I choose and where's Enfinger going to pounce where I'm not.
Yeah, Grant looked like he was going to try to go to the bottom side one more time, but those lap cars certainly holding up the progress, and we've got Bo Lamastus in the Crosley. Number 42 has looped it over in the center of corners 3 and 4, and that will bring out our second caution of the day. Our first one happened after 21 laps. We had rain and then went to a red flag, now under the first official competition yellow.
Bo's handling went away, I believe, on that car. It was going slowly towards the back. He wasn't staying on pace. And let's take another look here, Ray. On board with Bo Lamastus in the Crosley Brands Dodge.
He goes to the outside of the 31, a Richard Hauk from Howell, Michigan, and he just loses control. I don't think there was any damage to Bo's race car. Bo comes from Louisville, Kentucky. And as I said, continuing to learn these bigger, heavier cars. He's done a lot of late model racing, but still fairly new here in the ARCA Racing Series. You know why they call him Bo?
No.
When he was a young man, he got his picture taken with his grandfather, and he had a bow tie on, and it just stuck. I said, was there anything more to it? He goes, nope. Grandpa said, hey, you look good there, Bo. And they've called him that ever since he was about 5 years old.
Listen to Bo's in-car radio. He said he got out of his rhythm a bit. Again, he's a road racer, a motorcycle racer as well, making the transition. Not at the youngest age, but certainly very enthusiastic. Bought a bunch of ARCA equipment, all top-notch stuff. Danny Glad's gone through it all in his Stewart, Virginia shop. Bo's getting more comfortable with it. They're going to talk about making some adjustments here if they open the pits this time, and if they come. The leaders are deciding that very question as well.
The green flag is out. They have opened the pits, Jim. We see they're coming right out of turn number 4, and we do expect a number of these cars to go down. Will they do 2 tires? Will they do 4? Will this be the one and only pit stop of the race? We've completed 59 laps, and our front-running cars are all headed to the pits. So as we see the number 22 lead Grant Enfinger in, we'll throw it down to Kristen. What do you expect here on this round of pit stops?
Thanks, Ray. I already got the confirmed pit stop from the Enfinger camp. They said this weekend, Grant is driving the brand new ARCA Series Composite Body. It's a brand new 23 Allegiant Travel Chevy SS. They spent Monday shaking it down out here, and Grant just needs the basics. They're going to go ahead and go with 2 tires and fuel, but they're only going to come down pit road if the 22 of Kyle Weatherman makes his way down pit road. Back to you guys.
And he did, Kristen. So we see them going to the right side there on Enfinger's race car. We expect Frank Kimmel to also get some service. You see there, he has got the wedge wrench in that number 25, and all the way out comes Grant Enfinger. He goes around after only doing 2 tires. The 55 of Todd Gilliland also getting some service, so it'll mix up our running order a little bit. It appears that the 77 of Tom Hessert will be the second one out of the pit area. We need to take a quick break. Back for more racing action from Toledo. Be sure to tune in this coming Saturday night at 11 Eastern. CBS Sports Network brings you coverage of the very next PBR Major. It's coming to you from Las Vegas. They've got a season-long points and a lot of big money on the line. It's called The Last Cowboy Standing, and it's right here on your 24-hour home for CBS Sports. Kristen, I got to tell you, there's some tight confines down there in the pit area. How did it go on that first round of pit stops?
Well, Ray, considering this is Toledo Speedway, you always know the action is going to be great on track, but it's just as good on pit road. We have 18-foot spaces for these cars. We've got a 17-foot car. So these cars really have to make sure that they're relying heavily on their spotters and their teams to make sure that they're all clear. Throughout this race, we're going to see some more action on pit road, I can assure you, but you can bet that those stops went over pretty well as far as Toledo's concerned. Back to you.
Very good, and as we look at some of the action, we saw Bubba Pollard made a little bit of gain. He's up 2 spots. Frank Kimmel made a move on that, and Tom Hessert appears that he may have lost 1 spot. So Kimmel comes out ahead of Hessert, and a really nice round of pit stops. Bubba Pollard had a pit stall that was very close to turn number 3, and those other major players all the way on the exit of pit road. So that might have been an advantage.
He was one of the few cars on that end, so he got in cleanly, off cleanly, and also Ken Schrader came down pit road. He's up to 9th now, so he kind of stalled out in 10th under that last green flag segment. Schrader pitting again. The 5-time winner at Toledo Speedway is now sitting in 9th on this restart.
So they'll line them back up. Kyle Weatherman in that number 22, looking for his first career win. We mentioned as we talked about the starting lineup that he has finished 2nd, but has yet to get to victory lane. And I'm sure Jack Roush has got his eye on this young man. Lots of people in the garage area saying he's got a great future, very promising. He's down to the inside. Grant Enfinger will be on the high side. Kimmel right behind. And as they come out of turn number 4, we're back to green flag racing here on lap number 65. Enfinger giving him some pressure. They go into turn number 3. Will Weatherman let him have it? Down to the bottom side. The 22 keeps looking, but Grant Enfinger back in the lead.
Great run here by the number 25 of Frank Kimmel, again making that adjustment. He loved the car in practice yesterday. That Menards Ansel number 25 machine sitting in 3rd, certainly on his way forward. Not doing the same thing, however, as the 77 of Tom Hessert.
It appears that something did not go as planned for Tom Hessert on that restart. He's dropping through the field to 69, and the 59 go rolling by. Matt Wallace and David Levine will make the pass. Oh, Tom Hessert still on the high side. Looks like it's coming back together, but he lost 4 or 5 spots on the restart. You know, Jim, we'll look at this restart now one more time and try to see what happens. It appears that Todd Gilliland got into the back of Tom Hessert a little bit, got him a tiny bit squirrely as they came down the front straightaway, and that may have been just enough to get him out of the groove.
And it may not have been up to speed for Hessert, perhaps jamming it between 2 gears momentarily, and all it takes is that little bit. The leader's had a great restart. That's how Enfinger got the jump and stayed on top of the situation next to Kyle Weatherman, and now grabs that lead back.
Okay, we've got about a 4-car length differential now between Grant Enfinger and our 2nd place runner of Kyle Weatherman. Coming up on his rear is the number 25 of Kimmel. We said he did well in the pits there, driving for Venturini Motorsports, but not full-time this year, Jim.
The great thing about this series, though, you can run for an Owners' Championship, and you can see young talent like Matt Tift working with Ken Schrader, Kyle Weatherman working with young talent, and a crew chief like Paul Andrews, the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup champion with Alan Kowicki. That's who's calling the shots for Weatherman here today and oversees things at Cunningham Motorsports with Chad Bryant, the crew chief on Tom Hessert's machine.
Let's go down Kristen Beat real quick and get another update from the pits.
Thanks, Ray. The 77 Tom Hessert is not only suffering a little bit of fusion out on the track, but he's having some radio issues. He's having a time communicating with the guys on the box. Chad, his crew chief, actually says, stick your hand out the window, stick your hand out the window. They're trying to get some communication with Tom Hessert right now in the car. Back to you.
All right, thank you. That is our Crosley Brands Pit Road report. Thank you, Kristen. Lots of action here at the Toledo Speedway on and off of the racetrack, and we'll see if Hessert is able to regain his composure. He now has a pretty good battle going with Kenny Schrader as they come out of turns number 3 and 4. On board with Schrader, you see he is just right there, ready to go up and give a challenge. And these two very close friends, talking about Schrader and Hessert, they spend a lot of time together.
You know what? Hessert actually drove for Schrader for a couple of years. They still bet each other a friendly bet in qualifying. when Schrader shows up to an ARCA race, Hessert and Schrader bet each other who's going to out-qualify one another. And it gets pretty heated, especially when they come to thousands of seconds as it has here in the ARCA Racing Series. As recently as last year, those boys were all about getting each other's grill.
No question about it. And we look right there. There comes Kimmel getting some pressure on that number 22 of Kyle Weatherman. Frank Kimmel has run full-time in this series since way back before they had tires on these cars, I think. But this year, going to a situation where he shares that ride with Brandon Jones.
And the driver behind him making his very first ARCA Racing Series start in that Goodson Racing development machine, that darker yellowed number 1 of Bubba Powered. He's a 28-year-old Georgia outlaw. This guy has been running across the nation for a couple of years. He's not running for points, but he's won at Kern County in California. He's won the Raptor in South Alabama Speedway. He's also planning on running the Oxford 250 in Maine. The Slayer Nationals in Wisconsin is on his list to do. He's also won at New Smyrna this year. So he about 40 short track races. He's hoping with Tracy Goodson and crew chief Mike Garvey, this turns into something special. 5 or 6 more races. If they keep this car together, it's running pretty fast right now, sitting in 4th.
Bubba Pollard's real name is Andrew, and I asked him, how did you get the nickname? He said, my sister Andrea gave it to me when I was young, and guess what? It's a family affair. She's here spotting for him today.
Family team on the short track side. Tracy Goodson, a former racer and certainly way involved out of Pensacola, Florida, has this team singing in their first race here in the ARCA Racing Series in 2015.
This is what I love about what ARCA did this season, Jim. They came out with the composite body and also the ARCA Ilmore 396, and those two combinations together has given a team like this the option to move up and to go race. And Bubba said later in the season we're going to do some intermediate races. So you know it's a stepping stone now, and you can buy one of these engines for about 35 grand. The bodies are easier to install, they're much cheaper, and it allows teams like this to get in and go racing.
And those engines are guaranteed to run. They can run at Talladega and they can run here at Toledo Speedway. A number of these teams have run in at both the super speedways and the short tracks here in the ARCA Racing season this year. Now keep in mind those engines are approved everywhere, these composite bodies, just for the tracks a mile and under. So this is a new combination that's certainly fitting that Goodson Racing development team well.
I asked you at the top of the show about the national championship. Obviously it's 20 races. We go to 12 different states with 18 different racetracks, but without a question, if you're going to win the title this season, you're going to have to go through that 23 and beat Grant Enfinger.
And they have it dialed in. This team came together last year. Grant made the change mid-season, run for a championship in 2014 to the GMS racing effort. They tried valiantly. It came down to the last race. They lost the championship to Mason Mitchell. Unfortunately for them, they did not finish as strongly, but man, did they rebuild in the offseason. They really have things clicking. He's brought his crew chief from a couple years ago with Allgaier, Kelly Kofsky back in the fold. Kelly still hangs out in Springfield, Illinois. We'll see him on the dirt mile at Springfield here on CBS Sports here behind the wheel. So they work together well, but not when Kelly has to go play in the race car.
Couple of races coming your way from the ARCA Racing Series later in the season, and boy, whenever they go to that mile dirt, either of those racetracks, so much fun to watch, and you got to believe Kelly Kofsky's going to get in there and give him a good show. Here's this battle that continues for second. You see Kimmel giving some pressure now to Kyle Weatherman, but they are starting to lose a little bit of ground to our leader, Grant Enfinger. He has stretched that out now to about 10 car lengths between he and second place.
And most importantly, he's up to 15th when it comes to lapping cars on this racetrack. It's key when they pit. They want to have as many cars a lap down for the leaders here at Toledo as possible. Matt Wallace, the MDA back forward for Kimmel Racing, has just gone a lap down in 15th as Enfinger works up the backstretch. This is a great time for young Matt Wallace to get a chance to see the line, race with the leaders, and gain that speed and confidence here at Toledo Speedway.
Saw him go around Thomas Prater there, and Thomas trying to get a new race car up to speed here this weekend. He said they just don't have it dialed in as well as they would like. And we see yellow flag is going to come out here to the Toledo Speedway as the number 31 has spun around in turn number 4. Richard Hauk has lost control and he's down into the mud.
Bo Lamastis, Ken Schrader, and the 95 machine also collected in that one. Jordan Williams, that's outside turns 3 and 4.
Did Schrader get into the wall or did he just get jammed up is the question we'll have to ask. And we see there is some damage now to the left front of Ken Schrader's machine. So let's go to our onboards right now, sponsored by Crosley Brands. Here's Bo Lamastis. He's rolling down the back straightaway, going into the center of the corner. It just loops around. And as he goes up high, it looks like Schrader tries to come to a stop and not make contact. But I think there was just a tiny little bit of damage on that left front. Schrader on the high side.
Lemastus got tapped.
Yep.
Tapped and sent around. Schrader had nowhere to go. You could hear from the in-car noise. He was on the brakes already in that Federated Auto Parts Toyota. You see the damage from the left front. More damage from his contact with Lemastus than the right sides and the concrete wall.
And Jordan Williams in the number 95 from New Palestine, Indiana, also with a bit of damage in that fracas. So no question that Bo Lemastus did get some help to get spun around, but Ken Schrader going to have to go to the pit area and have Donnie Richardson and his crew work on that Federated Toyota.
Schrader is up to the 8th position, again biding his time. Again, there are a lot of teams here at this point in the race. The tires are worn. We have 90 laps of green flag racing under our belts now. A couple of those under caution after we got back to the rain. But think about this. This could be the critical pit stop. They can go the rest of the way if indeed the teams pit now. 22-gallon fuel cells in these machines. They could go the distance here for the remainder of the race. So this is a critical moment, and the discussion continues with the teams to pit or not to pit, maybe for the final time.
And we just noticed that the green flag has been issued from ARCA control tower, and they said pit road is open, so it should get busy here in just a few seconds. Grant Enfinger going to stay on the racetrack. He goes by. The number 69 of Matt Wallace will go to the pit area, but it appears like our front running cars are all going to stay out on the track. And the number 98 of Austin Wayne Self is going to go to the pit area, as well as Ken Schrader.
And we just get word on the team radio, some Racing Electronics, that the 23 machine of Grant Enfinger, our leader, has discussed he may have a tire going down. So by not pitting, the discussion continues in that team if they're going to pit this time or perhaps stay out and run the risk of having that tire stay under pressure.
All right, Enfinger's out front of the field. Will he come to the pit area? We'll give you another update when we come back to the Toledo Speedway. Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Today it's the Menards 200 at the Toledo Speedway. The ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is also sponsored by Calypso Lemonades and Hers Foods. We see the 52 of Kenny Schrader has lost a couple of laps as they continue to work on that, but he's not the only one that came down to the pit road. Let's get another Crosley Brands pit road report. Here is Kristen B.
Thanks, Ray. The 98 team actually built a brand new car and engine that they tested here earlier this month. Matt Weber, the 98 crew chief, said their game is all about consistency. And after losing ground in the points, the advice Matt Weber offered Austin Wayne Self was to actually pull a Taylor Swift and shake it off. So the 2014 Scott Rookie of the Year is trying to do just that. They went ahead, came down pit road, they took 4 tires, fuel, and made a chassis adjustment. He's going to try to get back out on track and maintain his point standing. Back to you, Ray.
Well, thank you, Kristen. We have got our eye there on the number 55 of Todd Gilliland, who is running very well today here. And you know, it's interesting when we talked about the fact that he just had his 15th birthday a couple of days ago. If somehow Todd Gilliland would end up winning today's race, he would be the youngest winner in ARCA Series history. Now look at this names on this list, from Eric Jones and Kyle Benjamin to J.J. Haley. Each of those drivers have come through the Venturini Motorsports plan and came in here under 16 years old and had some great runs.
All for Venturini Motorsports, the team that Todd is driving for today. That team has nurtured these young drivers. J.J. Haley has already made an ARCA Racing Series start this year with his own equipment. His uncle is Todd Braun. They've got a bright plan set for that young man. Some Camping World Truck Series races. Kyle Benjamin's already won in the K&N Pro Series East. And Eric Jones, man, what can you say about that kid? He's 18 already, and look what he's doing at the Sprint Cup level.
When you come into this kind of competition and you're less than 16, you really have got something going on, no question about it. Talked to David Gilliland earlier today. He said they want to finish all the laps, and here comes Kenny Schrader back to the racetrack, but they had a good bit of damage to the left front of that Federated Toyota. Let's go back and take a look at our Crosley onboard.
He's right behind Bo Lemastus, the car we're riding along here into the corner. Lemastus gets tapped, and to the outside of Crosley, driver door meets up. Schrader's now on board. Take a look here. How quickly things closed up for him as he tried to get through.
And not only did he get that damage on the left side, but then he also hit the wall a little bit on the right. So it appears like they had a good bit of work to do. And as we look back across our scoring monitor right now, Kenny Schrader multiple laps down back in 17th. So it does not appear that he'll get his 6th win today here at the Toledo Speedway.
We saw one hammer. They were calling for a second hammer on that car under pit stops to try to get it fixed. They stayed in the pits. They didn't do the whole, let's get to the back of the field and come back in. They wanted to fix that Federated Auto Parts Toyota. They're going for an owner's championship here, and Kenny, I know, can make up a lap or two under green, but as things are flying by, if that car's not just right, they're worried about the toe as well before they send him back out on the racetrack.
And a lot of people from Federated here today, as they're an associate sponsor on this race, about 400 of them in hospitality today. So I'm sure they're all very disappointed that it appears it is not Schrader's day. Back to the front of the field, we have seen Frank Kimmel making his moves, but the biggest comer and goer so far has been Bubba Pollard. He has got his way up to fourth. He's on the outside of Kimmel, and they'll fall in line behind Enfinger and Weatherman. And out of turn number 4, we go back to racing here on lap 98. Tommy Hessert had been a little bit out of the game for a while, but he's back up there in the mix of these front runners too. And how about a call to the number 6 of Josh Williams? Josh Williams competing in a steel body, does not have the Ilmore engine yet, and he has been able to run in the top 10 in an awful lot of these races. But now that we've gone to the halfway point, or they'll get the cross flags this time as they roll down the front straightaway. Grant Enfinger, the leader today at our halfway point. And ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Calypso Lemonades and Hers Foods.
This race is going to go by very, very quickly. The teams that elected not to pit are now saying, boy, what lap do we need to pit on? When do we hope for that caution flag? I've seen this race go 150 laps without a caution flag, so this could be critical. Grant Enfinger, before the restart, talked to his crew about the tire pressure. He didn't feel the car was as strong. He thought maybe a tire was going soft, as a matter of fact. That does not seem to be a factor now. He did talk about tire pressures and what to change if they come down pit road, with Kelly Kofsky saying, we're in control. When we want to pit, we know others will come. Let's get this thing going. Let's see if there is an issue. Doesn't appear to be the case in that Allegiant Travel number 23.
So as we talk about our Hers Food mid-race recap, we had 21 laps under green, went to a red flag because of rain. Then when we went back to racing, the number 22 of Kyle Weatherman made a good move on lap number 60, and he got out front, but Enfinger has regained the lead, and now he has about a 6-car length lead coming down the front straightaway.
I like what we're seeing here for the battle for the 5th position. That black number 77, Barbera's Autoland Ford, that's Tom Hester. This is his 12th race here at Toledo Speedway. Todd Gilliland has never been in these kind of race cars till yesterday when he got practice time in that white number 55, the Hostetler Almonds Toyota. Look at how close he's trailing now, Hester. Todd also said he got his lefts a little bit too low in qualifying yesterday. He had a car that everyone's looking at for the fastest time. Hester also had some very impressive runs yesterday in practice. He and his crew chief worked on very small things here. It's coming to play. Hester's back to full song, running top 5.
Chad Bryan has been giving him very good race cars. Today's Tommy Hesser's 145th start in the ARCA Racing Series. And guess what? He's going for his 80th top 10 today. Those are some pretty doggone good numbers.
Hester giving a lesson to that 15-year-old. They're trying to chase down Bubba Pollard in his first race in the ARCA Racing Series. This is kind of a neat mix here. A veteran in the ARCA Series, a 15-year-old trying to prove himself, closing the gap on that yellow number 1 of Bubba Pollard, the 28-year-old out of Georgia. Very accomplished racer last couple of years, running speed weeks, making headlines throughout the country already. 3 wins in 10 super late model races, the big ones this season already.
Here goes the number 98 of Austin Wayne Self. He has just made a pass going by the number 27 of A.J. Fike. So that number 98 having gone to the pit area, now coming back out and looking pretty strong. He's going to try to challenge Josh Williams down the front straightaway. He takes a look to the inside as they go through 1 and 2, and Josh Williams says, buddy, you're fast. You can have the spot.
Matt Weber, the crew chief, set the new track record with his driver last year at this race 1 year ago by the name of Mason Mitchell. They went on to win the championship. They brought a brand new car back here this year. They tested it with Mason and Austin Wayne Self, who's pilot on that AM Technical Solutions number 98 machine. They were really happy with the car before the weekend. They made some big swings yesterday. They impounded the cars as soon as qualifying concluded yesterday, so they did make the right adjustment. Now was their first opportunity halfway through the race.
These guys really thought they were right in the thick of the championship battle. A 4th at Mobile, then they go to Nashville, get a 3rd and a top 5 at Salem, but then it all fell apart when we went to Talladega. The 98 team finished 32nd. They're running strong today at Toledo, though, and we need another short break. We'll be back with more for the Menards 200 coming your way. We had a short rain delay today, but we appreciate you watching the Calypso Lemonades ARCA Short Track Challenge. It's presented by Hers Foods right here on CBS Sports Network. We're at the Toledo Speedway. It is the Menards 200, and it's the 4th event of the Short Track Challenge this year. There are 11 total in the championship, and we've got a great battle at the top of those points. But real quickly, we got to get back down pit road and get another checkup with Kristen B. We may have a technical issue with Kristen's mic right there. We apologize for that. We had our eye on Josh Williams. I think she was going to give us an update on the driver who's currently running in 8th. You know, Jim, when we started this race today, the top 12, there were 10 of those cars that had the new composite bodies from 5-star on them. One of those, of course, was not Josh Williams. He has a steel body car, but as I said, this has been a team that's sort of like that little engine that could. They just keep getting it done.
Family operation, run on a very thin budget. You might even say there's no budget at times. I talked to him in Daytona. He said, we think we have enough to go 5 races in the season. We'll see where we sit. 3rd in the points coming into the 6th race of the season. They're still at it. He's on the short tracks where he loves it, but guess what? His best finishes in ARCA have been on 1.5 mile super speedways. We get to those later in the season.
Yeah, Chicago and Kansas City, both of those tracks he finished 2nd. He's driving chassis number 9 today. It's called the Love Machine, and he said it is always fun to drive this car on the short track. But they are planning on putting together a composite body race car for later in the season on the short track. So it just takes a little bit of time.
That's the great thing about this series. The team out of Florida said, we want to go short track racing. We want to try this. He was starting to test at age 16 at the open test that ARCA has for their competitors. He got approval, and he's done very, very well in the couple of years he's been in the series.
You see A.J. Fike there, right, racing along with Josh Williams in that number 27. This car was a steel body not very long ago, and they crashed it at Nashville and decided to go to the composite body, and that's the whole thing that ARCA is trying to say to them, that if you have a car that's torn up, go back to this process. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run.
Talked to Kenny Schrader yesterday. He said, as an owner, this is the best thing ARCA can do. We can race these cars, we can fix them ourselves, and these engines. He said, with the engine build this year, he's going to save money in 2015. It's not a long-term investment. He knows it's going to help him right here, right now.
Schrader car had that damage on the left front fender. They'll just pull that fender off and buckle another one right on there. So let's go back to the lead right now. We see Grant Enfinger coming across the stripe at the start-finish line. 133 laps complete, and he is continuing to stretch that lead out now. He has got a pretty good, almost a half a straightaway on the number 22 of Kyle Weatherman, and right behind him Frank Kimmel. So that number 23 car is on a rail. Good battle right here. Bubba Pollard just ahead of the number 55. That is 15-year-old Todd Gilliland from Sherrills Ford, North Carolina.
And we see the handler going away a bit on the 55 of Gilliland. He's being coached on the radio by his father and others on the team. This team is established. Jeff McClure is the crew chief. Venerated Motorsports has it dialed in, but the young driver lost 2 spots in the last 5 laps. They've told him, gather it back in, follow Bubba Pollard. Tom Hessert also slipping a bit off the pace. Now he's back to 6th.
Good run today of that number 55 car. Started 5th on the grid. He has stayed in the top 5 throughout the course of the day. But our leader up front, it's all number 23, Grant Enfinger, running away. Do you suppose the ARCA fans care about a tiny little rain shower? Heck no! They have filed back into the grandstands, and they are here for the Menards 200. We had a red flag that put us under stalled conditions for about 45 minutes. Here's what happened just a few moments ago. Grant Enfinger going down to the inside of that number 03 of Kevin Rutherford. Rutherford coming from Texas, but he must not have seen the leader coming, kind of slowed him up a little bit, but not enough to make a big difference, because the interval between 1st and 2nd really hasn't changed very much.
You see that DK Lockford behind Enfinger, the number 9 of Thomas Prater out of Mobile, Alabama. 3 laps down. He spent some extended time in the pits when Schrader was in getting repairs, so he may have got some damage as well about 50 laps ago or so.
Well, a few minutes ago, we tried to go to Kristen Beat to get a report on Josh Williams. Her mic wasn't working, but we fixed that technical issue, so let's try it again.
Thanks, Ray. Josh Williams, who's currently in 3rd for points, made a special visit this month to St. Joseph's Children's Hospital to check in on his friend Miss Harvey, the little girl that stole his heart and is currently fighting leukemia. He delivered the race hood from his Nashville car for her to hang in her room. So just when you start to think these drivers only have a game face, Josh Williams is making a big difference in a little girl's life. Josh has been running in the top 10 here today and running the hashtag #BeatLeukemia car in today's race. Back to you, Ray.
Thank you, Kristen. That's a great story. We appreciate it. And we did have a car go to the pit area a while ago and pick up a couple of fresh tires, actually all 4 for Austin Wayne Self. Even though Grant Enfinger is cutting through the field and now makes his way by that number 6, I have to keep my eye on that number 98. Austin Wayne Self is making his way through the field. He has caught the driver in the 5th position right now. So we'll keep an eye on him as Enfinger continues to lead. Just about 40 laps to go here in the Menards 200 from the Toledo Speedway. Kristen Beat along with Jim Trado and Ray Dunlap. And we have had a very consistent run today from Bo Lamastus. In his 3 spins today, they've all been in the exact same spot on the racetrack. Unfortunately, this time he got up into the wall a little bit and has some damage on his Crosley Brands number 42.
This track's not easy to run. The track itself, from turn 2 to turn 3 entry, it's one big arc. And when you hear these cars by themselves qualifying, it's great to listen to. It's as if they're at a tractor pull and they're going all the way full pull from turn 2. They arc it into turn 3 at a whole lot of speed. Then the track's all of a sudden a lot narrower, as Bo is finding out here today.
So we had a couple of different problems with our Crosley Brands inboard race cameras today. Kenny Schrader being involved, and now Bo Lamastus having some damage on the left rear of his number 42. So unfortunate day for those two, but we certainly do appreciate their support. Grant Enfinger has been at the front of the field all day. Are they going to go to the pit area? He has made his commitment. He is going off of the racetrack along with Weatherman, also Frank Kimmel. Those top running cars are going to go to the pit area, so they have got some tires remaining and they're going to put them on. So we'll see whether they decide to go with 4 tires, 2 tires. Will there be any change in position? Let's go down to Kristen and get an update.
Thanks, Ray. Before the race, Frank Kimmel praised the Venturini short track program. He's confident in their cars and wants to see how he can race in a dominant car at a track that has been more than gracious to him over the years. He said that the car was super tight over the radio. He needs the air pressure adjusted. But if there's one thing that Frank knows how to do, it's how to close in on the race. They're getting a little bit of fuel, and guess what? They're going with 4 tires. Back to you.
Frank Kimmel had that number 1 pit stall. Will that make any difference for him? But as these 3 race cars who were all running at the front of the field throughout the day, they came into the pits, guess what? The number 98 of Austin Wayne Self has stayed on the track. They can complete the service for Kimmel and he'll go back out. But number 98 made their bed earlier. They went with their 4 tires and they said, we're going to stay out for the track position.
That was under a 3rd caution about lap 92 or so, playing their game, different strategy, may play well to them. And let's take a look at how these teams get it done on pit road. This is a 4-tire change by the Venturini boys, the Menards and Toyota, leaving pit road. Yeah, they're fired up. They should be. They held position. They
go out, and the number 22 of Kyle Weatherman comes out directly behind them. So
they gained 1.
Yeah. Gaining a spot on pit road, always very, very important. And as Kristen Beat told us earlier, these are some very tight confines to get a pit stop done. But Austin Wayne Self and his crew chief Matt Weber, they have made a gamble. They have decided they're staying out for that track position. We'll see if it can pay off as we come down to about 37 laps to go. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado, along with Kristen Beat in the pits. So nice to have you with us today. We had a great start to the race. We got 20 laps in, and my app on my phone didn't show rain anywhere, and then we had a big downpour, lost the racetrack for about 40 minutes. So for those of you who have stayed with us here on CBS Sports Network, we appreciate it. And we are no danger of not getting this one in. We're going to see it to the end, but will Austin Wayne's gamble pay off, or will these tires make enough difference for Grant Enfinger, Kimmel, and the 22 of Weatherman?
These fans know what they're about to see. They have been coming here the 74th time the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards has raced here at Toledo. These fans know we're in for a great finish.
Let's get another Crosley Brands pit report. Back to Kristen.
Thanks, Ray. Earlier this week, I actually spent some time talking to Matt Weber, and it doesn't surprise me that they're off sequence now. Matt Weber told me that he runs his own race. He doesn't care what the other crew chiefs are doing. He doesn't care who's coming on at what lap. They're going to run their own race and get what they need. So it doesn't surprise me that he went ahead and took this gamble late in the race. Back to you.
Well, it got him great track position, Jim, but here's my problem. Grant Enfinger and Frank Kimmel with fresh tires, 4 of them, they're going to be right behind him, and they've still got plenty of time to put the pressure on the youngster driving that number 98.
Todd Gilliland also pitted for Ford Tires for pit stall 3, as did the number 77 of Tom Hester, who just beat out the pace car on the backstretch. Again, they dump out from pit road out on the backstretch. Hester made out on time. He'll restart the race in 8th. AJ Fike and Bubba Pollard also in the top 10 have very strong runs thus far today, and those fresh tires should make a big difference. Austin Wayne Self now, again, pitted at lap 90. That was 74 laps ago.
We hope you'll tune in Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern. We bring you We Need to Talk, and it's some of the most influential women in sports, and they get together and discuss the game's most important issues. It's all right here on CBS Sports Network. We're the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Make sure you check out We Need to Talk. That's Tuesdays at 10 o'clock Eastern. Well, I don't know about this strategy. I have a feeling with what Grant Enfinger's been able to do, getting that number 23 Allegiant Travel Chevrolet out front throughout the course of the day, getting those fresh tires to me is going to be an advantage. Now, if there was 5 laps to go in this race, I'm not so sure, but I have a feeling that Austin Wayne Self is going to have an awfully tough time holding these other drivers off.
Well, what Kristen B told us at the beginning of the race about the different strategies, getting maybe a chance to split the race into thirds and get a chance maybe later in the race for fresh tires, I really think this is exactly what Enfinger's playing into. Frank Kimmel as well. The 22 of Kyle Weatherman, they talked about his car being tight. This is a necessary caution for them. They were losing ground in the race to Enfinger. Now they're all bunched up behind that Ford Mustang pace car.
Let's give a nice call today out to Brian Finney from Merritt Island, Florida, in that number 68, driving for Kimmel Motorsports. He's into the top 10, and a good run along with he and Josh Williams. So those guys will line up in the top 10 as we get ready to go back to racing. The Finney guys have been around for a long time. Wally, a great mechanic and good driver himself, and Brian Finney and those guys have worked very hard on this race team over the last couple of days.
And Brian's shown when he's had the opportunity here on the short tracks this season. He doesn't compete full time, but he's got a 2-car effort here today. He finished 10th at Mobile and 13th at Nashville. He's working with the Kimmel Racing bunch, so these guys are getting it together quickly.
We have the lights back on the pace car. We'll have to check on what happened there, but we thought we were going to go green next time by, but they have added an additional lap here, so the cars bunched back up. It looks like we had an ambulance that needed to get back into position. It was out on pit road, so for safety concerns, they decided let's go one more before we go back to racing.
So we'll see. Austin Wayne Self, who has tires that are 70 laps old or so. We've got Grant Enfinger on brand new Hoosier radial tires. So are the cars right behind them in row number 2 and row 3 for that matter, with Gilliland and Fike.
We mentioned the Grant Enfinger for the 2nd year in a row, won the first 3 events of the year. He got Daytona, Mobile, and then went to the historic Fairground Speedway in Nashville. He knocked out those wins. But when I look back at last year, we came to the Toledo Speedway and we got a different winner at this race, and then we went 7 consecutive ARCA Racing Series events with different winners. It'll be interesting to see if anything like that happens this season, because the competition as we go through these different races, it's always different. You know, we're going to go to New Jersey Motorsports Park. Andrew Ranger always shows up there and steals the show whenever they go on the road courses. Then it's off to Pocono, Michigan, and Chicagoland. So 3 or 4 very different races coming up, and we see lots of different winners in this division.
You talk about experience at Pocono Raceway. One driver entered in the Cunningham Motorsports machine is a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver, the only ever Daytona 500 champion that raced in ARCA after winning the 500. Trevor Baines entered in the Cunningham Motorsports 22. So Kyle Weatherman, not 18 yet, will learn a lot from a Daytona 500 champ when they head over to Pocono.
That's what's cool about the different kinds of things that happen here. We talked about a Super Speedway Challenge, the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge, and a national championship. It's all on the line. And here they come out of turn number 4. We're back to green flag racing, down to the inside, the number 98 of Austin Wayne Self, the newer tires for Grant Enfinger. Enfinger makes his way around as they go out of turn number 2. The pass for the lead happens again here at lap 169.
Just caught a glimpse there of Sarah Cornett-Ching getting escorted into the ambulance, so perhaps that damage caused some fumes into the cockpit. Speculation only. Hope Sarah's okay as she's going to get some attention medically.
Here comes pressure now on that number 98 of Austin Wayne Self from Frank Kimmel. Kimmel driving the Menards and Ansel, number 25 for Venturini Motorsports. And we've got a car hard into the wall, the number 9 DK Locke. That is in turn number 2, and it looks like Thomas Prater has tore the rear end off of that race car.
He is going to cross Toledo Speedway off his schedule. Last year he had a similar incident in turn number 3, hard contact. Thomas just spent time on pit road as well, so something mechanically went wrong with that Ford this time in turns 1 and 2.
This is, as I mentioned earlier, a car that was brand new to the team, and they were just trying to learn some of the ins and out of it. We've got just a little bit of a replay, and you see down into the corner, it looks like he was tied up with the number 40, and that is Brandon McKenzie from Asheboro, North Carolina. Those two together, and they get into the wall and miss the foam barriers, but boy, it absolutely destroyed the rear end of that number 9 car.
And taking laps around this racetrack, I mentioned turn 3 narrowing up. Well, turn 1, there's a wall to the inside by the apron, and it seems like that's a hard left-hand 90-degree turn as you enter that corner. If you go too wide with a car that maybe is a different speed than you, it really becomes a challenge.
I missed that one. I was focused on that great battle up front as Kimmel was going to get ready to put some pressure on Austin Wayne Self, trying to move into second. And down in turn number 1, hard damage for Thomas Prater. The Moose comes out of Mobile, Alabama, another one of these complete team efforts. And they're going to have a lot of work to do on that one.
Their primary short track car was damaged at Salem Speedway. They're hoping to get it back by the time we go to Lucas Oil Raceway, and this is their backup short track car that will also need attention back in their shops in Mobile.
Grant Enfinger has been the man on a mission throughout the course of the day here at the Toledo Speedway. We're going to take you all the way to the end of this race today, so glad you joined us here on CBS Sports Network. It has been a little bit of a challenge at the beginning. We had a satellite issue and we had a big rainstorm, but we have got a great finish coming your way. Each and every time we come to this half-mile racetrack, you can count on the fact that they're going to be too wide coming off of turn number 4, battling for that lead. I'd expect nothing different today. Number 98, Austin Wayne Self. He and his crew chief Matt Weber made a bit of a gamble going with their 4 tires earlier in the race, and then Grant Enfinger, Kimmel, and the number 55 and also the 22, they all came down to get tires that are a little bit fresher.
And Todd Gilliland, again, we talked about how this driver was getting his pace a bit off, and he lost a couple of spots. They got him throttled back in. He came in for 4 tires. He'll restart the race in the 4th position in this number 55 machine. Great job by this young man. We featured as a Scott Brand Rookie Spotlight. This driver is certainly proving his worth here in his first ever ARCA Racing Series start.
He was standing yesterday talking to Ken Schrader, and I walked up to Schrader and I said, I'll bet your uniform's older than that kid. Let's find out what happened to Tommy Prater. We'll go back to the pits and check back in once again with Kristen.
Thanks, guys. I asked Tommy Prater earlier this week about if the hit that he took in 2014 phased him at all. He said it didn't. If it did, it would have been time to hang up his hat. But now, having hit turn 1 and left his mark at 2 different points in this track, you can bet that he's probably not going to want to come back here and race anytime soon. But Tommy Prater said he actually looks forward to this track because he enjoys the racing here. I was scanning into his radio, and it didn't seem like he was making a lot of communication with his team. But you can bet that this guy is going to want to get back out here and race again because he's the kind of driver who actually works underneath the hood of his car. When I was cruising the pits yesterday, he was carrying tools around, helping his team out, trying to get the car right, so he can probably bet that he's also pretty disappointed today. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Kristen. And just a couple of volunteers that helped that team throughout the course of the week, and Thomas in the shop all the time. And as we said, they'll have a lot to do, and that's sort of like the situation here with the 69 team.
Kimmel Racing, a family operation out of Sellersburg, Indiana. They got the opportunity to work with Mike Wallace and getting Matt Wallace, the young man behind the wheel today. Mike's son is 19 years of age, making his debut. I want to highlight the fact that the MDA, Muscular Dystrophy Association, is giving Mike Wallace an honor this Tuesday. He's used racing as a tool to raise awareness for the MDA. Matt Wallace has a first cousin, Kimberly, in St. Louis. She is working and living through having MDA at age 21. This Tuesday, they're having a big benefit in Charlotte. Michael's getting an award for his efforts as an outstanding ambassador for MDA. So congrats to them for raising awareness. They said, we'd love to put a sponsor on this race car, but if we don't, let's give some awareness to the MDA out.
That's a very cool deal, and it's always great whenever we can help some charities along throughout the course of racing. It's so great to see Matt Wallace from Concord, North Carolina make his debut today, along with the number 55 of Todd Gilliland. These two young men, very promising careers ahead of them, and obviously a great racing heritage with those names. Everyone knows Gilliland's and also Wallace's. And we are going to get one to go this time, so they come back to line up, and as they go around the track one more time, we'll be back to green flag.
Matt Wallace back in 13th. not on the lead lap, but we do know these 10 cars that are going to put on one whale of a show to the finish here in the final 25.
If you tuned late into our broadcast today, Kenny Schrader had a very fast Federated Auto Parts Toyota, but he got involved in a little skirmish over in turns 3 and 4, had damage to the right and left front fender. So Schrader now back in 15th place, and he is 6 laps down. So the win will not go to one of the favorites here today. We will find out whether Frank Kimmel has anything for our front runner, Grant Enfinger. Can it be Austin Wayne Self's day? He's had a couple of second place finishes, has not won yet, and here they go. Back to green flag down the front straightaway. Kimmel has let that number 23 get him. Oh, and Grant Enfinger is in the backstretch wall. The 98 made contact. It looked like something happened to Enfinger as he slowed, and he has hit the wall hard. Frank Kimmel also has damage on his race car, and Bubba Pollard goes into the foam blocks, and we've got a lot of damage on 4 or 5 of our front running race cars.
As soon as Enfinger cleared the field, he moved up the racetrack and something went awry.
Wow. It appeared that he slowed dramatically, and that's why Austin Wayne Self, who was on full power coming down that back straightaway, made contact. And we'll take a look at just exactly what happened. We had gone to green flag. They had rolled through the centers of turns 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. The 98 has cleared Frank Kimmel, and just something goes wrong with Enfinger's car. He slows quickly, and boom, 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 4 or 5 of our front runners are involved, and a bunch of them with damage.
Enfinger again, slowing in front of an extremely fast train behind him.
The 22 hit the number 55 of Todd Gilliland pretty hard. Looks like Kyle Weatherman's going to have a good bit of damage. Now here we see as they go down there, oh boy.
Austin Wayne Self tried to make the quick maneuver, but just was too far under the 23 slowing in front of him.
No question about it. Austin Wayne Self did not spin Grant Enfinger. It appears something was wrong with that 23 car. He just ran out of power.
And Frank Kimmel could not do anything there as Austin Wayne Self tried to make the move. Great looks here from our CBS Sports Network cams. These cars were in contention for the win.
Oh.
Top 5 cars all affected here.
Bubba Pollard's car appears like his day may be done, and our championship leader, who won the first 3 races of the season, has trouble here, and he is not going to win at Toledo. Going down the back straightaway, Grant Enfinger runs out of power. Austin Wayne Self makes contact, and we've got a melee down the back straightaway at Toledo.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Hers, presenting sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Hers, live life with flavor. By Calypso Lemonades, proud sponsor of ARCA Racing on CBS Sports Network. Real lemons, real sugar, real lemonade, Calypso Lemonades. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Well, we promised you there would be some action today in the Menards 200, and we did not disappoint, but we did not expect anything like this. When we saw the restart of this race and the closing laps going down the back straightaway, massive damage to our point leader, Grant Enfinger, and a number of different cars that were front runners with some damage. Now, the guy who has made it through this and is now posted as our top runner is Tommy Hessert in car number 77. Jim, let's see if we can catch him.
Hey, Tom Hessert, Jim Trado in the broadcast booth. You copy?
There, Jim.
Hey, when it comes to those kind of restarts, things happen so quickly. What did you see from your perspective?
You know, it's tough to tell. You know, I was tucked up under, I don't know, I think it was the 1. And then we came off at 2, and I could see the 98 going around, and I couldn't believe it took everybody out, but pretty damn wild. We're very fortunate to not get much damage there, so, hell, I don't know. We'll see what happens here, right?
So the luck of the draw, getting the inside position on the restart, but we see you had some pretty scary negotiating to do there. How fast do you think you guys are going? Were you already in 4th gear when it all unraveled in front of you?
Oh, yeah. We were up in high gear and back in the throttle hard. You know, everyone's just getting after it pretty hard on these late restarts because, you know, everyone took tires about 10 laps to go, so, you know, this is probably some of the fastest laps you're going to see run. And, you know, it's going to be an exciting finish, I'll tell you that.
All right, you've been able to win at Talladega Superspeedway. You've been able to win at Salem Speedway. You've been able to win in Iowa. Talk about how special it'd be to win here at Toledo Speedway if everything holds together for you in these winning laps.
Well, I mean, look, it's special to win everywhere. Toledo is the home of ARCA. ARCA's a terrific series. I've loved being a part of it for, these last bunch of years. So a win here would be very special. And so we can hold it together.
Looking out your rear view mirror, I see your teammate Kyle Weatherman has some damage. I see AJ Fike in the mix here. This is far from over. What will you have to do on this restart to make sure you have a chance to get that lead coming out the backstretch?
Get through the gears nice and clean and get after the throttle pretty damn hard. I mean, it's these late race deals here when everyone's on fresh tires, it's tough, but it's a nice position to be leading with fresh tires. So I don't know. It's going to be exciting.
It certainly will, Tom. We look forward to seeing you race to the finish here. We'll let you get back to it.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Grant Enfinger has led a lot of laps this season. At Daytona, he won after leading 36, 161 in dominant fashion at Mobile, and 90 laps led at Nashville. Today looked to be his day. They had a great race car, but we want to find out what happened. So let's get down to Kristen, who's standing by with her crew chief, Kelly Kovsky.
Thanks, Ray. Before the race, I talked to Grant. He said this is actually one of his favorite tracks to visit, but he's never been able to close the deal. Another one of those years for Grant this year. I'm standing by with his crew chief. What happened mechanically to Grant?
Yeah, Grant radioed in after that melee and said that his fourth gear broke going down the backstretch, and that's what caused all that. I hate it. The guys at GMS Racing built an awesome car. Grant did a good job. It was our race to lose, and unfortunately we had mechanical issues, but we'll bounce back. These guys at GMS are awesome. We got a good group behind us, and these guys will get to New Jersey and we'll give them another show.
Before I walked over, you were having an elevated conversation with your crew. What were you telling them?
Yeah, I was just explaining to them, it was nobody else's fault. It was just something that happens and something you got to deal with racing right now. We don't have any luck, it seems like, and there's no reason to get upset with somebody else when it's not their fault.
Kelly Kopsky, crew chief on the 23 car for Grant Enfinger. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Kristen. And Grant Enfinger came in here today with a 105-point lead in the championship after a really, really good start to the season. But that's all going to go awry today. So more racing coming your way. The Menards 200's not over. Stay tuned. Short Track Chassis 200 was brand new today for Grant Enfinger. He entered this race with a 105-point lead in the ARCA Racing Series. We are at event number 6 of the season, and he is going to take a big hit in the points today. We want to get back to the pit road and check back in with Kristen Beach. She's standing by with Matt Weber, crew chief of Car 98.
We became so there's less than 10 of us left on the lead lap, so we're just gonna come in and try to repair it and pass and try to get to the top 5. I think we can do it.
Matt Weber, crew chief for the 98 team.
So a number of these teams trying to get back in action, see if they've got how much damage on any of these cars can they get to the finish. When we see the grill on that Barbera's Ford Fusion has an awful lot of grass on it for Tom Hessert, and he has not been able to refire his car. It appears that Ken Schrader going to try to go up there to give that number 77 a little push start and see if he can get fired up. Frank Kimmel also getting a restart. He is getting pushed by the wrecker, so a couple of guys after this we are not able to get going again. Jim, you want to check out the radio?
Here's the deal. 77 drills.
We're going to try to check in with Kyle Weatherman, who tried to also give his teammate a push. We see the obvious damage on his Ford. Kyle Weatherman stands about 5 foot 5 inches tall, so as a matter of getting low in the car, I'm wondering if that will block his view. We'll try to get word with him directly here via the team radio in a moment.
Weatherman won the pole at Nashville, led 71 laps that day. And of course, Paul Andrews calls the shots for this number 22 team, the 1992 champion in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. '97 will get the free pass. Bobby Hamilton Jr. from Tennessee will get back onto the lead lap, and these guys we're gonna have to have them figure out the lineup, but let's check back in and see if we can talk to that driver.
Hey, Kyle Weatherman, Jim Trade on the TV broadcast booth. How you doing, and what can you see out the windshield of that 22 Ford?
got caught up in that wreck going into 3 there, and we got a little damage there. Our hood's pushed up. But you know, I'm still going to give it 100% and see what we got here, guys.
Now, when it comes to this racetrack, you've got a lot of laps here, but you know there's certain points on the track you need to make your points. You need to get your line down. How are you going to be able to do that without being able to see fully out the windshield?
Luckily, you know, there's walls and stuff like that. You know, there's stuff on the infield kind of got my points set, where I let off and where I turn in and stuff like that. So luckily, I got the luxury of having those there still. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, that's for sure.
We wish you well, young man.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Kyle Weatherman, just 17 years old, making his 17th start here in the series. A couple of times at Salem he finished second, and also had a really great run out at Iowa back in 2013. Our point leader coming into this day had a very disappointing late part of this race. Grant Enfinger standing by with Kristen B. Well, we apologize for technical difficulties. We had a pretty significant rainstorm here after we got to lap 21 at Toledo Speedway, and apparently that has caused a few bugs in Kristen's mic today, but we had hoped to hear from Grant Enfinger. Obviously, whenever you have a mechanical problem like that, Jim, not much to say about it other than the fact that their brand new race car's torn up and they're going to tighten up this points race.
And as Grant came to a stop, he nudged the nose of his car into those foam barriers. They added foam barriers here for the safety of the teams, but when he nudged into those, the team asked him, could he drive it back to the pits? And Grant said, I'm trying, guys. It will not fire. So more issues for that team and that race car after that impact on the backstretch. Not only just transmission, but he couldn't turn the car over if he could get through 1, 2, or 3 gears to get back to the pit road.
David Levine, the driver of the number 59 car, he is second in the points. He's going to be able to gain a little bit of ground. He's currently running in 9th position today. Of course, it's not over yet. Who knows? And how about Josh Williams? Josh Williams is running in 4th today. He comes in here 3rd in the points, and we'll keep our eye on Austin Wayne Self. So this thing's going to tighten up, no question about it.
Frank Kimmel is still off the racetrack getting attention on pit road. So big developments here with those top 5 cars getting involved in that accident.
Very diverse schedule in the ARCA Racing Series, no question about that. We'll head off to New Jersey Motorsports for the next event. That's coming up on May 24th. Then Pocono, Michigan, Chicagoland. Those racetracks where the guys are going to get an opportunity to go at full speed, but then we come back into the half mile. Boy, Winchester Speedway is always a wild one. We'll have that one right here on CBS Sports Network coming up in June. Then off to Iowa, Lucas Oil Raceway, and Pocono. And then right after that, it goes dirt track racing. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see this thing go. And again, you know, we talked about the fact that it's a 20-race schedule, but the diversity is like nothing else out there.
And there's nothing like Toledo Speedway, but there's really nothing in the world like Winchester Speedway.
Oh, man.
Circle that on your screen. Not the flat screen with the Sharpie, but, you know, play with me here. Circle
Bank.
that date. June 28th. Join us here at CBS Sports.
High Bank half mile, and boy, do they will just fly around that place.
If you're on the bottom, you aren't fast enough. You got to go right up to the top.
No question about it. Well, it has been an interesting day today. A couple of our front runners involved in that last crash. Grant Enfinger lost 4th gear going down the back straightaway on a restart. He's out of this race. Kimmel's got a lot of damage. I don't think it's his day. And there's some grass on the nose of that number 77. So here's Fike, and here's the 77. They will be on the front row as they get ready to restart once again. 186 complete, and here we go. Let's finish this one. It's a Menards 200. Good start for the number 77 of Tom Hessert. He comes out of turn number 4 with the lead. Down to the inside, that number 22, Kyle Weatherman, can't see out the window very well, but he's going to try to use the points on the inside of the racetrack. And you see he is looking down at that white line, but he's going to lose a spot right now as the number 55 of Todd Gilliland, 15-year-old driver, is going to go to the high side.
Ryan Finney getting wide there, trying to maintain that position. Hester dancing on that inside apron of the racetrack in turn 3. It worked for him, but not Finney. Finney left the track and lost a lot of ground.
Lost some ground there. The number 98 of Austin Wayne Self, currently back in 6th position. Can anybody put pressure on Tom Hessert as we get into closing laps? We're coming up on 10 laps to go here at Toledo.
And Mike a bit push off of turn number 2. Josh Williams can smell his best career finish on a short track. He's now battling for second in that orange number 6.
2 second-place finishes for Josh Williams. He did it at Chicagoland and Kansas City on the mile-and-a-half, but can he do it on a short track? He's in a steel-bodied car, does not have the Ilmore engine, but he's putting on a great show today, but he is going to be under pressure from the number 55 of Todd Gilliland. Gilliland coming up right on the back bumper of car number 6.
Gilliland is 15 years of age, has not been in this car until yesterday. He is now pressuring for third. He's in third now. Hit the back bumper of Williams' car, looking low.
Carroll's Ford, North Carolina. He'll go down to the inside. Here comes the battle. They'll go side by side, coming off at turn number 4. This is a race for third position. Actually for second, and Gilliland's going to take it away.
Just narrowly got right through that little opening at turn number 1. What an impressive veteran move by the 15-year-old.
Tom Hessert can smell his first victory at Toledo Speedway. Can he keep that thing out front? Will it stay running with all of that grass that's on the nose? Can he keep the engine cooled down for long enough as we go inside of 6 laps remaining? Here comes pressure from the number 55. Gilliland is right there.
At the whip, 6 laps to go this time for that white number 55 machine. It's looking like he has a faster machine right now. Jeff McClure, the crew chief, made the right adjustments on that last pit stop. And indeed, that 55 machine has closed to the leader's rear bumper.
Can you imagine being David Gilliland right now? He is here. He said, we came here to win this race. One thing and one thing only. You know he's got to be on that radio talking to the kid, and they are just inches away right now. Here comes Todd Gilliland. He's going to put pressure on Tom Hessert.
You know, he was involved in that accident as well. He's got a bunch of grass across the front nose of his white machine as well. So we'll see if indeed that becomes an issue. Right now, nothing is being held back here by those top 3 as they go by some lap cars.
He's got an opportunity right here, and there goes Josh Williams. I thought Williams was going to cut to the inside. That could have been a big problem for Todd Gilliland, but Gilliland puts some pressure on Hessert. Down the back, straight away we go, and here goes the 55. He's going to try to take the lead, and he has it coming through 3 and 4.
What an amazing move, and look how fast that car is at this point. Once he got to Hessert, no problem.
We showed you the graphic earlier about the drivers who were in the Venturini Motorsports cars at age 15 getting their first career win here in the ARCA Racing Series. Williams and the number 77 of Hessert made a little contact coming out of the corner. That slowed them a bit. And now we have got the 55 of Todd Gilliland out in the lead, and he can smell his first career victory. If he's able to pull it off, he's going to be the youngest driver in ARCA history at 15 years and 2 days.
One more circuit for this young man is about to set the world on fire. National championship points on the line, but this man's all about the W. We hope to see him a lot here in the ARCA Racing Series. This kid has it figured out.
Venturini Motorsports going for another win. It looks like it's in the sale for Todd Gilliland. Hashtag everyday awesome off of turn 4. The youngest winner in ARCA's history goes to Todd Gilliland. Wow, that was some action now.
Who'd have thought Tom Hessert would not have been able to keep pace? There had to be something that Todd Gilliland was saving. And once he got to Tom Hessert, I saw that young man pacing himself, following Frank Kimmel, following Kenny Schrader on the racetrack. He lost a couple of spots. They told him refocus. He had chances to collect himself, and this young man is proving at this tender age, he ran late models. He's won in that level. He is ready for this next level, and that's great to see this young talent come to shine here at Toledo Speedway in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
15 years old, and he came in here and he battled with the veterans, and this was the pass for the lead with just a couple of laps to go. Hessert slides up to the high side. Down the back straightaway, Todd Gilliland gets the position, and he wins at Toledo. Not really sure what you were doing when you were 15 years and 2 days old, but Todd Gilliland is going to visit Victory Lane here at the Toledo Speedway. He has won the Menards 200. Here he comes out of the car. What a way to get a celebration for your birthday and your first ever start in the ARCA Racing Series. He becomes the youngest winner in series history, 15 and 2 days. Now let's go down to our Menards Victory Lane and check back in with Kristen B.
A huge win for Todd Gilliland, his father David here in Victory Lane, filled with tears. He's so happy for you. This is just a huge moment for you and all of your team. How does it feel?
Great. Everyone worked so hard to get this car to the track this time, and it was kind of a not a lot of time situation, and they definitely got it done, and it was definitely right.
What does it feel like to be the youngest winner in ARCA racing history? Your birthday was just a few days ago. How about that for a birthday present?
Yeah, crazy. I came into this race just thinking I was going to be the youngest to start, but who knew I'd be the youngest to win?
Big day for Todd Gilliland. Family tradition. It's a Venturini thing, y'all.
Well, I don't know if that's a good birthday present or not. I'm not sure.
Alla Andy Granatelli, a fellow Chicagoan, Italian blood running through here for Bill Venturini. He said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry that tradition on. He's done it a lot here. The Venturini Motorsports team has another driver in victory lane here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
And that's Mama Kathy there to give him a nice congratulations. And David Gilliland, a proud father today, standing by with Kristen.
Thanks, guys. I'm right here with David Gilliland, still getting his high fives and love from all the Venturini team. This is a big moment for you guys. I talked to you earlier this week, and you told me that you guys just wanted to go out there, run a clean race, have a solid race, be able to get out of here with a clean car. You guys did just that and a little bit more, ended up in victory lane. How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels really good. I'm emotional, but you know, it's an awesome opportunity. Billy called me, a couple weeks ago, and I came home and talked to my wife, and I said, man, you're going to think I'm crazy, but, I think Todd's ready for this. And Chris Lawson, our crew chief that works so hard on our late model program, and, he's been talking to Billy about Todd for about a year, and, their confidence and believing in Todd and believing that he could do it is one thing for a dad to think he can do it, but when you hear, people that have been around racing this long that believe in him too, it's a pretty special day.
A lot of heart in victory lane down here for the Gilliland family. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you, Kristen. And Mom Michelle was there, too, to give him congratulations. Let's take a look at the results from our race today. This event was presented, obviously, by Calypso Lemonades, and this is your official results. A Toyota in victory lane. Venturini Motorsports does it again with a young driver. 15 years and 2 days. Hessert will come home second. That'll certainly help him in the points, and a great day for Josh Williams, who will come home third.
AJ Fike in fourth, his second race of the season. That team put a new car together, new front clip, new rear clip. We hope to see him again here. They had a great run, a top 5 run. And without being able to see Kyle Weatherman, a top 5, come on, that 17-year-old certainly shows something here today as well.
Kimmel and Schrader's the favorites coming in here today. They're back in 11th and 13th. Good recovery for Schrader. And as we move through the field here, you can see where your favorite driver finished throughout the course of the day. Sarah Cornett Ching did have to get out of her car. She'll finish 23rd today. Tom Hessert with a great run, and he is standing by with Kristen.
Thanks, guys. I'm standing by with Tom Hessert. It was a good day for you. You ended up coming home P2. Yeah. That's solid for points, right?
Yeah, great points day. We our Barbera Autovan car, we struggled. We were really good early and then got tight. I don't know, I got in the fence, maybe lap 15 or so, and I don't know if that did something to it, but we were just too snug from then on, and 55 was a lot better than us, and he got under and we just didn't have enough to fight him. But solid points day, and we'll go on to New Jersey next week.
You and Chad had this magical relationship this year. I was talking to you guys yesterday, and you've been through a few crew chiefs now, but you seem to have really found your niche with Chad. What is it?
I don't know. I mean, Chad and I, I've worked well with, multiple different crew chiefs in the past, and Chad and I just seem to have a good relationship and communicate well. I trust him, and I guess he trusts me, so everything works out pretty decent.
Tom Hessert finishing second today at Toledo Speedway.
Well, Jim Trado and I have been here for 20-some years. Kristen Beat made her debut today. Great effort down there. You were all over the place and withstood a lot of rain whenever we got to our red flag at lap 25. But we saw all kinds of action today, and just an amazing tribute to how these young drivers today can come up through, get in some good equipment, and show their stuff. Todd Gilliland will pick up the win today and become the youngest driver in ARCA Racing's history. I want to say thanks to our producer, Steve Johnson, director Gary Clem. Jack Carbone was on our graphics today. Jenny Nickel was our AD, and Jim Sobchak, the technical director. Kristen Beat did a great job down in the pits, and thanks to Jim Trado, I'm Ray Dunlap. We appreciate you joining us here today on CBS Sports Network. The ARCA Racing Series, they're right here in Toledo. This is their home track, and we had a great crowd today. They withstood the rain, and it was sure great to see that.
History has been made. The young man named Todd Gilliland has made national headlines. He receives the winner's trophy. What a great run. Great fans here to stick with us here on CBS Sports and here in the grandstands.
Thanks for sticking with us. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network. It is your 20